So I recently acquired this Suzuki RF900r, which I'm fixing up. It's a pretty sick bike. It's a bit of a 90s icon, which is somewhat unknown about and underrated as well. They're quite a grunty bike based off the GSX-R 1100, so we've got a 5-speed gearbox. Bottom end is exactly the same as the GSX-R 1100, I believe, and then has different barrels and a different head on it. It's got a bucket and shim type valves in it, so not the screw and lock nut ones that you get on the earlier GSX-R 1100s. So this engine is more similar to the WP GSX-Rs, which came out in the 90s with the water-cooled heads, and they have a slight bit more grunt. It's got quite a nice bent convex radiator under there. Can't really see it in the dark, but it's quite big and it's really sport styled, kind of like what you'd see on a modern sport bike. It's attached to a pretty rigid twin beam steel frame, which looks quite cool. Do some close-up shots of the inside of it, and at a glance, if you don't know what you're looking at, it almost looks like a aluminium style twin beam frame, but this one's made of steel. It's very rigid and still pretty lightweight. As you can see, it's quite a wide frame to fit their engine in there, but the frame itself is actually quite thin. You wouldn't see an alloy frame this thin. So these bikes handle pretty well when they're set up properly. So it's very cool. It's got some pretty basic forks up front, attached to some Nissan 4-pot calipers on 310mm discs. It's the first fully fed bike I've ever owned, so I'm ripping into it now. I'm quite enjoying working on it, and what I'm doing is just making sure I can get it running properly before I spend too much money and time getting it looking nice, as it needs quite a bit of cosmetic work, being low-sided on both sides of the bike. And I'm going to hopefully get an exhaust for it if that goes well with the running wise. So right now I've got the valve cover removed, and I'm going to check the valve clearances. I'm going to rebuild the carbs with new emulsion tubes and needles as they're worn out. Just pretty much rebuild the whole set of carbs for it. New battery, and then try getting this thing running nice. And as soon as it's running nice, I'm going to completely tear it down and repaint it. And then sort out the suspension and put some fresh tyres on it and throw a muffler at it, and it'll be a bit of a economical weapon because it doesn't owe me much money. But I've got something pretty fast and pretty agile to rip around on the road with good stopping power, good grunt, about 130 horsepower. And I quite like the styling of it being a 90s sport bike. It's kind of weird. It's a bit of a niche-y sort of style, but if you like that weird sort of 90s styling, this one here ticks quite a few boxes. So I'm really pleased with it, and I'm going to continue working on it right now. And hopefully I'll be riding it soon with a perfectly running engine, good styling, and nice suspension and tyres so I can really throw it around.